Hi everyone, this is Ryan Collins again. I'm here with the Perfect T-shirt to bring you the perfect video about handling forms in Perfect. This was a question I had seen, I believe, on Gitter. I had put up an example project to help, but I figured it would make another good video to add to the introductory series. So let's get started. You can find contact information for me at ryanmcollins.com. You can find perfect.org at perfect.org. And just like normal, in most of our projects, we're going to go over to Perfect. We're going to go over and we're going to grab release version 1 so that we're all working on the same thing. Alright, so while that's doing, I am just going to handling perfect forms. Make a nice project folder for us there. We can get that up. We'll just go ahead and move that over there. Alright, I'm going to go into Xcode here and Command Control N, and it brought up on my side monitor here, so I'm just going to move that and we'll call it handling perfect forms. And I'm going to go ahead and put that in the project folder I made on the desktop. We'll cinch this up a little bit to make sure everybody watching the video can see it. Alright, so just like normal, we're going to go ahead and Command Option A, or add files to Perfect. We are going to go up to my desktop. We're going to go into Perfect. We're going to grab the library. We're going to expand the server. I'm just going to hold Command and select the project files for each so that we can pull those in. We're going to create references and not copy, and I check that every time because sometimes I'm using different options. We're going to Command Shift N to create a new project. OSX framework, Cocoa framework's what we want. We will call this handling forms in Perfect. Why not? Swift, I'm just going to include unit tests because I'm used to doing that. We're going to add it to my handling perfect forms workspace here. And I'm going to skip the Git repository for now because I already have a test project up on GitHub that you can look at the code for. Alright, so the next thing we need to do is the same as always. We need to link our library. I'm going to add that. We're going to go to our build settings, make sure we've got all selected. Head on down to deployment. We need a location. Yes, we need build products location, configuration, build dir. And you should be really used to this by now if you've been developing in Perfect and watching my other videos. So Perfect libraries goes in the installation directory, and then we cannot skip install. So we've got that there. I'm just going to go up and handling perfect forms is going to be our scheme. We can debug in the app. We can go over here and add a new file. An empty file is fine. I need an index.mustache, and then I need to add another new file. We need to go to OSX source Swift next, and an index handler. All right. We're just going to handle the form on our index. So I'm going to move this up to the top. I'm going to grab you and move you down here because I like the way that's organized. We're going to import perfect lib. One of the things that I've been noticing is if I make sure to tell the build to explicitly build the OSX target, hey, and we just run the app real quick, we'll get a whole bunch of Swift 3 warnings because I'm using the latest version of Xcode, and that's fine. We don't have to really care about those, but the build succeeded. The app's going to launch. All right. Super. One of those things we can get is Autocompletion, yay. And we'll set up for our class index handler inherits from, and that is actually going to inherit from page handler. Super. Whoops. Hey, see, we've got our autocomplete coming in now. So up here in Perfect Server module, and then we can page handler registry dot add page handler. And we can call that one, call that index handler. All right. And I'm just going to get rid of the rest of this because I actually don't need that, because we're just going to do that down here. R is the web response, and that's returns page handler in return index handler. And that should all make sense to you. All right, why is that giving me an error? Well, first we need to capitalize that, and I'm sure you were all screaming at me, but I can't hear you. Web response, what error are you giving me? Ah, page handler, there we go. All right, now we have our index handler class. All right, so function values for response, context is the mustache, evaluation context, throws map type. Well, boy, isn't autocomplete just making my day, right? Map type. And I believe that's actually mustache evaluation context dot map type. That's better. All right. So we have our collector in there, we have our context in there, and now we can do stuff with it. So var values equals map type. We'll initialize that. All right, so let's go over and take a break here and set up our actual index page. So, of course, we need to tell it what handler we're using. So we'll make our mustache here, and we will just add handler, index handler. And as long as we've registered everything correctly, that should be good. Doc type, HTML for HTML5. I like to get everything set up. All right. And we will do a title, and we can make that the title. And we will do a meta. Set equals UTF. We'll use the UTF-8. What else do we need to put in here? I think that's about good for a very basic head. And then we'll add a body. We'll end that body. All right, I'm just going to use command right bracket. Getting this all organized. This is nice. All right. So, there's a couple of things that we're going to need to do here. So let's give our web page a title. The perfect form handler. I like it. It's exciting, I know. Titles and everything. All right. So, the first thing I want to talk about is the parameters. So we'll do params count, right? Actually, no, let's not. Let's go ahead and write a form, because that's what we really want to do. All right, so let's talk about a form. All right, so we need a method for a form, and we're just going to use HTTP post, because that makes sense. The encode type will be multi-part form data. So, multi-part form data. And the action is a required HTML element, but we can leave it blank because we're not going to open another page. What is your name? Oh, no, I'm not doing mustache here. What am I doing? What is your name? We're doing an input. type is going to be text. All right, and we can name this my name. Okay, and we'll do a line break. What is your email? Why not? Because that's a common thing to handle. We'll just leave this as a text. We're not trying to get too complicated. It is my lunch break, and I can't, unfortunately, take too much time today. My email. I am just live coding this, and we're gonna make this up as we go. That looks nice. And let's add another line break in here so we can space our submit button, and we'll do an input type equals submit value equals submit. So we want that to look nice, and then we can end our form. All right. And our body and our HTML. I'm just going to save this, and for the sake of it, I'm going to go into my build phases, and now that I have my index.mustache prepared, I'm going to copy files into the products directory under webroot. Okay, and I'm going to make sure we copy index.mustache because that's what we want to serve. I'm just going to build this real quick and see why it failed. Because I didn't write enough in our handler. Return values. Let's see if that works now. We're not returning anything, but that's fine. No valid page handler. All right, well, that's fine. At least we're building, and it looks like our files are copying. So index handler, I've got index handler, and I've got handler, index handler. Excellent. So let's take a look at that again and make sure it works. There we go. We've got a very basic form going. All right, so let's go back into here, and since we added a page title, I'm just going to say values. Oops, title is equal to perfect form handler. Cool. All right, so now we've got some values in there. Let's say we actually want to print those to the screen. So what we want is we want to go down here, and we'll put a couple of line breaks in here, and we want to see some values, right? So how we're going to do that is we're going to essentially use mustache to tell it that there's going to be a list of things from an array, and that's going to be fun, and that's mostly the point of this video, is because it takes this part just a little bit further for you. So the first thing we're going to do is check for a request. So if there is a request, context.webRequest, context.webRequest. So if there's been a web request, so somebody's, obviously made a request, then we want to grab parameters out of it, okay? So what we're going to do next is let params equal request, our if let dot params. So now that we've got our parameters, we can if params dot count, and that's optional there, greater than 0. So a web request was made, and things came with it. We want to use those things. So let's make ourselves an array. Our parameters equals, let's see, that is going to have to be an array of dictionaries, if I think about that correctly, and we'll have to initialize it so we can add things to it. And it's going to be an array of dictionary type string any. Array of dictionary string any. Yeah, in my mind that works, so we're going to keep going and see if it works when we build. for name value in params, and we'll unwrap that. We are going to iterate through and parameters.append, and we are going to append the dictionary because we told it we were going to append a dictionary. Name, and we are going to append param value to value. I want the local value. All right. All right. So this is heavy. So let's talk about what's going on here. So if we've got a web request, we want to do something with it. First, we want to let the parameters equal the request parameters. So check and see if stuff came with it. If stuff did come with it, and we have more than more than 0 of things, then we want to do something with those things. And the way it's going to come to us is an array of dictionaries containing a key and a value. So we're going to call this param name and value and param value and value. So we want to iterate through and append everything that came in from the web request to our array. So once we've got it in the array, this is pretty fun. Values, we can say params, right, equals parameters. Hey, that's kind of cool. So remember, we're still inside this function here. We've got our array, we've iterated through and we've added things, and then we've appended. And then we need to do values. Oops. It needs to be params count. And we're going to need to basically, for mustache, for the purposes of it, we are going to need to know how many are there. Okay, we're going to add our title and we're going to return that. So once we've returned that, then we need to do something with it. So mustache has a pretty cool syntax in it here, and that's for iterating through arrays of things. And let's talk about that. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a mustache, we're going to put a pound sign in front of it. And we're going to use params count. And you'll see why in a minute. So we'll add a paragraph of stuff, and we're going to add an unordered list because we want to go through things. Okay. And then we are also going to put another one of these here, and that's going to be params, just params, because that is what we saved everything as, right? Params is an array of things, so basically we're just saying that this has to do with an array of things. Okay? So for each param, we want to make a list item that's got param name, right, equals param value. And I know this is kind of weird because it looks a little bit strange in mustache, but keep in mind that we are actually ending params. So what we're doing is we're actually iterating through. And this will not work without being surrounded by count. So let's end our unordered list, and let's end our paragraph right here, and then we will go ahead and our count. And it looks like params. I am doing great after lunch today, spelling everything correctly. No one can say any different because I can't hear any of you at all. Params count. All right. So we have a parameter count. All right. Now, in theory, we should be able to run this. My name is Ryan. My email is testing.test, and submit that, and there we go. So what's happening there, and that works. Let me stop that for a minute. And it's really good to wrap your head around this because it's fun stuff. Again, we're grabbing that request, we're going through and we're making an array of dictionaries, because when we post parameters, they're going to come back to us as a dictionary of type string any. And for whatever we name that parameter and whatever the value is, we're going to append that into our array, and then we're going to use it. We're going to add it to parameters here. So what's going to happen in here is when it sees the count, it knows to loop through a certain number of times, and when it sees the parameters, it knows to go into that array and grab, or that dictionary, and grab whatever for whatever param names there are, print the parameter name and parameter value. And that's exactly what we're doing here. Now you can use this for a lot of reasons. I'll resend the data. You can use it for, obviously handling forms, and taking name, email, and contact information is a really common way to do that. But you can use that for more than just forms. You can post all sorts of different variables and really make powerful applications. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. There's still plenty more to come. If you want to connect with me, you can find me at my contact information and social profiles at ryanmcullens.com. And you can find more information, documentation about the Perfect Project at perfect.org, on GitHub. Find us all on Gitter. It's a great community. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully we will see you again soon.